Hey everybody, welcome back to Ready City Play, where we're doing our next impressions of Detective City of Angels. We've played 2 cases now, and we've just finished Murder on All Hallows Eve. So we've done that one, and we've done the first one, Last Embrace, and we also played the tutorial. So this is, I guess, case 3, but the tutorial doesn't really count, does it? Chris managed to solve Murder on All Hallows Eve, so congratulations to Chris.
Thank you.
It turns out the case was eminently more solvable than the last case.
It's a bit more solvable.
A bit more solvable.
It was less.
Well, much like you did in the previous case, and I think that this one was more logical, but there was a specific detail that didn't sit right with me in this case that really threw off a lot of my guesswork throughout the game.
And again, the solution involves a bizarre sequence of events where speak in general terms, where there's multiple people in the. It's kind of Can I spoil Murder in the Orient Express?
You can solve murder.
It's like one of the most famous detective stories of all time.
Yeah, surely everyone's seen it.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so Murder in the Orient Express. It has this Murder in the Orient Express syndrome. Both cases do, which is really concerning me. Where there's like a bunch of people doing kind of attacking somebody, and someone gets like in Murder in the Orient Express. Then they all stab him.
Yeah.
So that no one knows who
actually dealt the fatal blow.
And I get that impression from all of these. There's the first time all these and both of these. There's like a bunch of people in a room together, like, let's see, 4 people in a room together, and, like, 3 of them beat up one guy, and it just so happens one of them actually killed him.
You have to figure that out.
But in a way, you could with both of them, you could not possibly ever work out exactly the sequence of events. I got it right,
You made some clever deductions, too.
Yeah, but my actual... But my actual sequence of events
was not good chisel. No,
my actual my what I thought was the chronological events of it was not exactly accurate. The order of certain things happened.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I think that maybe even if you can't get precisely the details of the crime, working out enough to win the game is what it's all about, really, isn't it? I mean, I
don't feel like I was clever though. I feel like. I'll wait to go into. I'll wait. Yeah. You go ahead.
Well, you want to in these kinds of deduction games, you want to feel rewarded for making sort of clever insights or clever deductions. And there was you noticed a detail in the opening text of the case that I didn't notice that led you to a conclusion that helped you out, and I thought that was good. That's the kind of reward that you want. And I was annoyed that I didn't notice the same detail and make the same conclusion.
Okay, I don't know what that was.
I do.
I'm avoiding talking about it.
Tell me later.
Yeah, we will. But I'm avoiding mentioning it because this is supposed to be a spoiler-free as best we can. Yeah, because we, now that we've played another case, we feel like we can give a bit more rounded thoughts on it. Although I am interested to play more cases. I think they were all the same writer. But I enjoyed being the detective, but I also felt like I was kind of on a track for the first half of it. Sort of solving these clues that were just very clearly laid out for me, just kind of hitting the steps. And then once that kind of finished, then it was just kind of sort of haphazard guesswork, really. And I didn't have a lot, and I can't decide if that was my theory that was failing me, or if that was because there was some fault in the game's writing. I would like to say it's not my own terrible deduction, but I can't rule it out. But how did you find being the chisel?
Found it incredibly stressful.
Really? Because at the start, you were like, I know everything. This is going to be fun.
Yeah.
And I felt that too at the start and had, I think, a very similar reaction to you.
It's when you were so close. You were literally on the verge of solving it on the second day.
We weren't.
You were asking a suspect all the right questions, and I was getting incredibly stressed that you were going to be like, oh, that leads to this, he's going to ask this next, and then you didn't, and then I was like...
You said, I asked that person everything.
You didn't.
I did.
The only thing I didn't ask that individual about themselves. I asked about everything I had available to me at the time.
Which was probably not enough.
I truly did.
I seem to
I made a
remember
very clear point of doing that to myself.
I seem to remember that you gained some. I had to give you some information which I thought this is really important.
You did. So you gave me an answer which was, go talk to this other suspect, and then I challenged it. And I was right. So I was like, well, the most useful answer doesn't tell me to go talk to this individual. Wow, this is a massive flaw with the game. That's actually really bad. So the less useful answer tells me to go and talk to someone who is crucial to find out what happened, and the most useful answer does not tell me to go to that person. So I didn't go to that person for a while, thinking that's a red herring because it was on the not helpful answer.
But the most useful answer, it says in the rulebook that the most useful answer won't be that useful potentially.
No, it doesn't. It says it
because the person
it says it might not be
true. Because like in the other case we played, one of the most useful answers is someone saying that person definitely did the murder, and I knew it wasn't necessarily true because that person had no way of knowing that.
Yeah, you need to think about.
But it has to be the most useful, and surely the most useful one is the one that tells you to go to the person who literally lets you uncover the whole plot. That's actually a massive flaw.
Well, I actually can relate a lot to what you're talking about, though, Michael, because it's once you know all the details of the crime, it's very difficult to disassociate that from what the detectives know. And so when you guys were talking to the first suspect in the first case we played on the channel, I was having the exact same reactions you were having. I was like, they're about to uncover this whole thing. I need to move them away from this information. And so I do think that that's quite a... I do think that the Chisel kind of has that kind of relationship with the game. You know, and then when they do move away, you get this intense sense of relief. And actually, it's a very natural process for the detectives because they don't have all the information. But, you know, for the Chisel, I suspect, especially if you've got 3 detectives, it's very likely that they're actually going to just start talking to the murderer right away.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, this was quite interesting so far as there was there any? There was no people on the board to begin with.
No. It tells me to keep all the suspects secret.
Yeah, the people are revealed one at a time.
And that was quite cool. I quite liked that. And that led to these interesting reveals of who they were and what they were about. But did you find that stress fun or just really off-putting? Because I find it quite fun.
It was quite thrilling.
Yeah.
It's almost this cat and mouse chase, and you have this huge I genuinely could feel my heart racing at times, thinking, "Oh my god, are they going to challenge this? Am I going to get away with it?" And that is the thrilling,
it's fun, isn't
and the exhilarating part of it.
And it's quite fun, yeah.
I was so close, but I felt like
it came down to the wire. Like that was
But I also felt like I wasn't overly. There was times where I wasn't overly deceptive, though.
Well, I felt like because you guys had sort of misconstrued the details in the case previously because of issues spoken about in that series, so if you guys want to know what we're talking about, go check that out. But because you guys had misconstrued those details, I felt a lot like my impact on the game was very reduced.
Yeah.
And I wonder if you had a similar experience. I felt like it didn't really matter how deceptive I was being often because you guys were sort of drawing the wrong conclusions due to events outside my control. Did you feel that, or did you feel like you were sort of effectively misleading us?
I knew when I was effectively misleading you, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Because that's good. That's good.
Because there was times where I was like, if you get this is crucial, and that's when I purposefully tried to mislead you, and probably 9 times out of 10, I didn't succeed.
Yeah, I mean, the penalty for challenging.
We were quite good at calling, I think.
The penalty for challenging incorrectly isn't that bad.
I feel like the goon is too cheap.
Yeah, it is too cheap. I agree, and that's why it's not that bad. I've played the Chisel for my family, as I said, and I feel you do have a reasonably minimum impact in some ways. Insofar as you do make some choices which can matter, but I haven't played the game in sleuth mode where I'm not entirely sure how it works. Insofar as when the game misleads you or not, but I feel like I suppose the best way to put it is the rate of success that the Chisel has at misleading you, I think, is no greater than the rate of chance. And therefore you might as well just play the game with the automated Chisel.
And there was times where I just gave you the most useful answer. Thinking, this is going to be
making a challenge.
this is going to be a double bluff.
But then all you get from that is a leverage that isn't that useful. Did you ever feel, I've used leverage? Actually, the most useful time to use leverage is to stop snitching, which you did with each of us once, to annoying effect.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, the chisel doesn't operate any great.
It was trying to instill some sort of like, I'm missing out on something. But
it does make you feel that way. That is good.
Yeah, I found that the leverage was most useful in sort of trying to direct people towards information that was actually useless.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly how I used it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's how I used it in the previous one as well, as a misdirection. And I don't know if I entirely agree with you, Chris. I do think there is an element of, because I think the art of actually metering out the information. I spoke about this in the first impressions. Which was that it's about listening to the detectives and their conclusions and then trying to sort of feed their misinformation
bias.
And their bias. Yeah.
Well, there was sometimes I read an answer and I was like, if I give them the fake answer, they're going to know this is fake.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because of what had been exposed, and so I had to give you the right answer.
Yes, you've really got to pay attention to the information and listen to the players.
You're making that sound like an easy choice. That's what I'm saying. You're making that sound like what you just said to what I'm hearing there is I looked at it and the choice was glaringly obvious.
That's only glaringly obvious about the individual gameplay. You could play this again with other people, and they might not.
You're saying it's only going to be obvious that you're lying. They're lying because it's us. Are you?
No, I'm saying I'm only saying it's going to be obvious that I'm lying because of what you've detected so far.
Okay, I understand.
And we're super sleuths.
Yeah, no, that and that's true.
And
that is something that an automated system could not account for. Is what you do and don't know by that point.
Yeah.
But I just feel like you said yourself. The detectives kind of are their own worst enemies.
Yeah. I wonder how, but I reckon the efficacy of the chisel is going to be quite dependent on the creativity of the writing in the case as well. Mm-hmm. In some cases we'll give the chisel more to think about and do than others.
Do you want to move on to the writing?
Well, we don't have a lot of time, so maybe we should talk about the writing in this case.
Okay. Unfortunately, this case has not made me think the writing. It's not been the improvement I wanted. I said after the first one that the system is excellent, and I stand by that. It's a fantastic system, but I think the writing is just terrible.
I think I'm inclined to agree with you. I think the writing on this scenario was a lot better than the previous one.
I don't think it was a lot better. I think it was better, but I think...
Well, we were pretty damning about the last one.
But because of one particular thing, which
and you definitely managed to solve this one, which leads me to believe that it is.
But I'm not letting that kind of lead me down the path of, the game's great now because I won. It's not. It's like I had a moment. I had
to make you work for it though.
Yeah, I really had to work for it.
And you literally got it on the very last turn.
Absolutely. It was the last guess. That's the last thing of the game.
Yeah.
But you know what bothers me, actually? Sorry to interrupt you there, Chris, but the one thing that really threw me off was not any information you gave me. Yeah. That kind of bothers me.
Yeah. No, I do. I think the writing is absolutely dreadful. I'm sorry, especially because I know you've watched some of our videos.
Oh no!
And I know it's horrible to have something said about something you've put a lot of care and time and passion into, which is clearly been done, and the system is fantastic.
And the art's very good.
But I think sometimes you just need to accept you're not good at a particular job, and no, if you because the scenarios, both these scenarios are badly written. Well, the system's fantastic, but I think the writing is so bad. So bad. It's so bad compared, and especially when you compare it. Like last time, I was comparing, to multiple other games, Detective Chronicles of Crime.
Well, the biggest flaw of this one, not Halloweeny enough.
Yeah, that is one of the major criticisms of this. I'm super disappointed. It's not scary or spooky or set in a mansion with ghouls and ghosts.
Yeah. Well, those without avoiding spoilers, it does contain one quite glaring horror trope, but other than that,
I'm bad at this.
Horror trope, but not really a spooky Halloweeny trope.
No.
So I think that it's not. Yeah, it's just kind of
very disappointed.
Can I make a couple of notes? Do you mind if I jump into a couple of these a second?
Yeah.
So another thing, because my problem is things I didn't like that I assumed was just a one-off, but they actually happened both times.
Yep.
So characters who exist and who you can meet, but who aren't actually represented as suspects, has happened twice. You can meet a character who has a
relationship with the victim.
Yeah. And which I did. I don't think you did.
No.
But it's just like in the last one. It's a search card, and it's like, oh, you talk to Jim, and Jim says this, and bye.
Yeah. And that's in both cases.
It was more of a problem in the last one where just by the very nature of the premise, and that character in the previous one was the clear suspect.
I think that's a little problematic as well because there are characters that exist like that. And they also don't appear in the game, but then they provide crucial information.
Yeah, and there was a character who was referenced in this one, who I then assumed was going to end up not existing, and did. If a character is mentioned, I don't understand why they're not. Especially when they have cards available, they have slots that weren't even taken up. That's something that needs to stop being done. The same concept or person or item or state being represented by multiple cards has happened in both of them, and it's just weird. It's such a bizarre thing to do. Again, it actually made more sense in this one.
Yeah, I didn't mind it so much in this one actually. I think it kind of felt alright. I can see what they were trying to do, and I thought it was fine.
Did you find a physical item on one of those cards?
No, you did. No, only one of them actually. So
the murder weapon was found on it.
Yeah, well, no. So one character had an item on them. The other two went and got items. They went and fetched them and brought them back.
Okay,
which is I think how they got around.
He was aware of the
logical.
But it's still weird to me. It's still very strange, and because it's so strange, and because logic would dictate that's not the case, he had to explicitly state in the card that you would find different items with them, which is basically flagging a signpost to search them, which is bad design.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next one, incredibly convoluted. The story. I think I've touched on this before about how the Meridian Express thing. The story, the cases are just unbelievably convoluted. Both of them are just ridiculously convoluted.
Mm-hmm. I thought this one wasn't as bad as the last one.
But the actual sequence of events he's read out has so many steps that you could never possibly get to.
Yeah, but there's a lot of those steps that are kind of irrelevant, right?
Right, but the first rule of writing, not first rule of writing. Well, an important rule of when you're editing something is if I can't justify it being here, you get rid of it.
Yeah, right.
The last thing is just a pure game design thing, the tiebreak. I've heard a lot of people talk about this. The fact that tiebreak is had you got it right as well, I would have won. That would have felt very unsatisfying. It felt unsatisfying anyway because I thought the writing was bad. But the tiebreak being... there's two issues. One, the tiebreak, going last seems to be massively overpowered.
It can be. It depends how things work out in the first turn.
True, but the fact that it's a tiebreak is huge.
Yeah, that's for me is the problem.
And another problem, which I feel you could use these could potentially solve each other, what I've heard people talking about is what is the reason not to question it, to push for everything in the final round? There really isn't one.
There really isn't one.
So wouldn't it make sense for the tiebreaker to be least leverage left over for the...
That makes perfect sense, and I think that's a much better idea, yeah.
Yay!
So those are my notes.
Anyway, curiously, I would still play it again.
Yes, I think I would too, but it's more of a vague hope.
Vague hope.
I'm now
I'm like, are any of the cases in the expansion written by someone else?
We're sorry. We really like your design. We
really like the mechanics of your game and the art and the setting. We're super enthusiastic about the rest of that.
Yeah.
If you think there's a case we should play, leave it in the comments below. If you are indeed the designer of this game.
Yeah.
And we'll play it for sure.
Yeah, that's true.
Alright, and I think we're out of time, boys. Thanks for playing.
No worries.
Thanks for playing.
There you go.
And we'll see you all tomorrow for another adventure on Ready, Steady, Play!
Sorry we didn't review it better than we did first time. We know some of you wanted us to.
See you later, guys.
See you.